What's up, friends? Knitted here. Just wanted to say real quick, don't worry guys, even if Joe Biden wanted to stop genociding children in Palestine, which he doesn't, he wouldn't be able to stop it because the CIA actually controls our foreign policy and basically always has. There's this one time that one of our presidents wanted to stop them and he tried really hard, but then he wasn't able to stop them. We'll get to that. Here's a topical one. Did you guys know who Patrice Lumumba was? He was the democratically elected leader of the Congo in the 60s, who got deposed and like a whole coup was done against him and stuff by like his friend, and he was taken out of power, and then the Congo's been hell ever since, basically. More than his defiant rhetoric, it was Lumumba's refusal to be bought off by the multinational corporations controlling the Congo's wealth that undoubtedly sealed his fate. By the following summer, Burden was cabling Washington to destroy Lumumba's government as a threat to our vital interests in Congo, and Burden was a Vanderbilt heir. Three men, all with financial interests in the Congo, led the charge to depose Lumumba and to get him killed. And one of those men was the head of the CIA, Allen Dulles. Over the next several months, the CIA, working with its allies and Belgian intelligence, engineered a military coup led by a cocky, ruthless 29-year-old colonel named Joseph Mobutu that forced Lumumba out of office and placed him under house arrest. But I thought that America doesn't interfere with foreign countries. The CIA are geniuses. Dr. Ewan Cameron had analyzed Lumumba at the CIA's request and determined that he must brush his teeth regularly since they looked gleaming and white in photos. Therefore, Ewan assured Dulles, chemically altered dental products were the key to getting rid of Lumumba. These guys are some of the dumbest people in history, and they just have endless funds and resources. In the end, the CIA thought it would be wiser to just hand Lumumba over to his friend and let him kill him instead. That would be easier than the toothpaste. I think that was a smart choice. Unrelated, but did you know that the CIA tried to assassinate Fidel Castro like 1,000 times or something and never succeeded? Anyway, it's also super weird that the CIA was doing this since this was Kennedy's transition period into office, and he was like, I like Lumumba and I'm gonna normalize relations with him, and then they are doing this instead. If Kennedy was the incoming president, they couldn't have hid this from them. Oh, the CIA actively kept Kennedy in the dark so he didn't stop them? Devlin knew that cabling Washington risked tipping off Africa policymakers in the incoming Kennedy administration who likely would have intervened to save Lumumba? What? Oh, Kennedy didn't think about Africa or care about Lumumba or Congo or freeing people? False. This is the picture that they took the second he found out about Lumumba being killed. Why would an imperialist American president like Kennedy care at all about the Congo? The person who took this photo said, I was alone with the president. His hand went up to his head in utter despair. Oh no, I heard him groan. Lumumba was considered a troublemaker and a leftist by many Americans, but Kennedy's attitude toward Black Africa was that many who were considered leftists were in fact nationalists and patriots. This sounds familiar almost. Guys, I'm sure this is completely unrelated and just total coincidence, but something similar happened in the Bay of Pigs too. Kennedy agonized over giving final authorization for the Bay of Pigs plan to the very end. He kept downsizing the operation to make it as little noisy as possible. Dulles kept accommodating the anxious Kennedy, convinced that once the brigadistas hit the beaches, JFK would be forced to do anything necessary for success. The wily CIA chief set a trap for Kennedy, allowing the president to believe that his immaculate invasion could succeed, even though Dulles knew that only U.S. soldiers and planes could ensure. It is now clear that the CIA's Bay of Pigs expedition was not simply doomed to fail, it was meant to fail. And its failure was designed to trigger the real action, an all-out U.S. military invasion of the island. Dulles was serenely confident that in the heat of battle, Kennedy would be forced to send the Marines crashing ashore. But guess what? They underestimated my boy JFK, and he said, fuck you, nah. You don't think it's true? Oh, you don't think it's true that they were trying to bait Cuba into an all-out war? Well, look, read this. Without informing the president, Burke had already taken the liberty of positioning 2 battalions of Marines on Navy destroyers off the coast of Cuba. It was one of the many extraordinary acts of Pentagon and CIA insubordination that plagued the Kennedy presidency. Plague? What if Castro's forces returned fire and hit the destroyer? Then we'll knock the hell out of them. That's what it's about, friends. They were sure I'd give in to them, Kennedy later told Dave. And as the last of the brigadistas were all rounded up by Castro's troop, Dulles seemed shell-shocked. He had never suffered a humiliation like this in his career. Guys, there's literally no way that there's another example of this, right? You guys know who Charles de Gaulle is? A bunch of generals got mad that Charles de Gaulle wanted to stop killing everyone in Algiers, so they did a coup. It's more like a beer hall putsch, you should probably call it. But yeah, it was in support by the U.S. intelligence. The CIA did it. Of course they did. Charles was a commander that was trying to coup de Gaulle, but him and American security officials shared a deep disaffection with de Gaulle. To add to the insult, the coup had been triggered by de Gaulle's efforts to bring French colonial rule in Algeria to an end, a goal that JFK himself had ardently championed. The CIA's support for the coup was one more defiant display of contempt. Kennedy's disavowal of official U.S. involvement in the coup came with a disturbing addendum. The American president could not vouch for his own intelligence agency. Kennedy told Alfand and the CIA that the CIA was a vast and poorly controlled machine, that the most unlikely maneuvers might be true. So finally, after this, JFK was pissed off enough to fire Dulles, and he started cleaning house, actually. He fired Dulles' daughter and said, "I don't want any more Dulles' family around." He did the purge. It was awesome. Kennedy took further steps to signal that the Dulles era was over and that the CIA would no longer be allowed to run wild. Anyway, I think it's so weird that JFK was like trying to take tons of power away from the CIA and like the military-industrial complex, and then just by coincidence, he died. What the frick? The world is nuts, man. If there's anyone still here, you should follow, bro. Boop.